Hey everybody, Dr. Jessie here, and I wanted to come and do a video for you guys going over my bioresonance testing results. If you have caught wind, we've been doing bioresonance testing here in the office for about the last 2-3 weeks or so. I got into bioresonance testing because I was having some health issues that I couldn't figure out what was going on, and I can't treat myself entirely with acupuncture and do muscle testing on myself quite like I can for patients, and so that kind of leaves me not in the most optimal health that I could be in. And so, as many of you know, I had a baby almost 5 months ago, and I've been struggling a little bit to get some of that baby weight off. I've been fighting chronic fatigue, which some of it, maybe it's baby related, but it's probably a little bit more than that. And so, and I also have a history after I had Clayton, our first son, almost 3 years ago. He's almost 3. That I was having issues with some thyroid stuff. So I wanted to check in on a lot of that stuff. A lot of thyroid stuff is pretty common postpartum as well. And so I'm starting to ramp up my training for something this fall. And so I wanted to make sure that I'm going into that in the best health that I can so that I can get the best results. So what it is first you fill out this little information sheet, I guess, about, it just gives you some health history, some of the things that you consume, and then on the back side it goes over any other type of health history, symptoms that you've had or have. Also, something really neat that most of you guys would be, or females specifically, would be interested is that there is a spot to test, or that you let them know if you are either currently pregnant or if you are breastfeeding. So if that is something that you are doing, don't worry about holding off, because they will make sure that everything that they recommend or that the lab recommends is safe for you. So what it is it is a saliva and hair sample. All I do is you just come in the office, I swab the inside of your mouth, I get a little bit of a hair sample. Otherwise, if you're a male and you're like, I'm bald, for Alex, we just shaved a patch of chest hair off him. Otherwise, we can do fingernails and toenails as well, which, so I'd send that home because I'm not clipping your toenails. But, and then I send it over to my private testing lab, and I will get results usually within 2 to 4 weeks. I've gotten quite a bit of patients come in already, so that's pretty exciting. So I'm gonna go over my results with you guys, and then kind of what I'm going to be doing with all this information. All right, guys, so here is my report that comes back from my bioresonance testing. So over here you can see all of these different organ systems that were tested, and it gives you a percent of how well they are functioning. So anything 100% is the goal. Anything below that shows where you have stresses, and as you can see here at the top where there's just minor stress, chronic stress, weakness, and then chronic weakness. So my integumentary, that's skin, mine's at 97%, which is pretty good. Nervous system is at 70%, which, especially as a chiropractor, having that much stress on my nervous system is not ideal. Respiratory, digestive, pancreas, metabolism, urogenital, cardio, blood, immune, and lymph are all pretty good. Liver and gallbladder are at 71%. Endocrine is at 70%. And then locomotor, which is musculoskeletal, is at 54%. This actually surprised me a little bit because I've been having, I mean, it didn't surprise me, but it surprised me. I've been having a lot of like knee pain, low back pain, and headaches come up lately, and I kind of attributed a lot of it to stress, and so this reiterates for me that I need to get back on top of some of my rehab exercises. So you can see here, most significantly stressed is going to be my central and peripheral nervous system, adrenal glands, and my liver, and then it also shows that my joints are some of the symptoms not functioning optimally. Over here you get into energetic sensitivities, which this tests over 350 different environmental and food sensitivities. So right here, let me pull this up, and you can see where those are all the additives, beverages, dairy alternatives, environmental, fish, fruit, grains, different ingredients, legumes, meats, nuts, shellfish, spices, sugars, and vegetables that they test against. So for me, I actually didn't have too much, but I did have some of my favorite things come up. So beverages, my weakness. I do like a Diet Coke every once in a while, and that showed up as a sensitivity for me. And then I also love all things dairy, and so that's kind of a bummer. So these are not necessarily allergens where I will get sick if I consume them, but my body is sensitive and they do throw some inflammatory markers out there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fizzle these out for a little bit, probably about 8 weeks, and then I will retest to make sure that my body is doing what it needs to be doing, and then slowly reintegrate if I'm not showing any sensitivities at that time. EMF, that is that electromagnetic frequency, so I'm pretty sensitive to that. Deodorant sprays, molds, weeds, pollen, dust, and grasses. Which it's allergy season, and so it's kind of, I wasn't surprised to see that. That's pretty standard for me. Then here you get into some of the energetic nutritional imbalances. These are all of the little things, quote unquote, that I may be deficient in or have imbalances in. So GABA, valine, and phenylalanine is some of the amino acids that I'm deficient in. These are the fatty acids, GLAs, EPAs, and ALAs, and then vitamin D, B5, and then B12. And I'll get into this part in a minute because it actually, fun fact on this stuff, I'll tell you guys in a minute, but enzymes, protease, bromelain, and then amylase, and then minerals, manganese, iron, and copper. The neat thing about this is it tells you what different sources of food that you can get these in. So instead of supplementing everything, you can just start incorporating some of these things into your diet. So for example, for phenylalanine, dairy showed up on mine. So I may not want to eat dairy, but I may want to eat more eggs. I don't like fish, so I'm not going to consume it. Nuts, seeds, and meats. And so over here you can see, I want you to keep in mind this vitamin D, B5, and B12. One fun fact that I didn't actually put it on my thing because I didn't think about it is I do have what's called an NTHFR mutation. It's a genetic mutation. We had trouble getting pregnant with Clay, and so they did a bunch of genetic testing and we got approved for IVF. Clay's an acupuncture baby, not an IVF baby. And that's how I found out. And so I have troubles processing B vitamins that aren't methylated. So vitamin B12 for me has to be methylated for me to absorb it. And so this, I've not been as good about taking vitamin B lately as I should be, or methylated B. And so that's kind of a good reminder that that's something I need to be doing. And then vitamin D, I do supplement vitamin D. However, when you get down here, these are some of the energetic toxins that show up. I'm going to scroll back to this in a minute, but I want to touch the vitamin D part. So hormonal imbalances that showed up, and this is where I did this testing initially because I've had thyroid issues in the past, and so postpartum, and so I've got low TSH, low T4, and low parathyroid hormone. These are all thyroid hormones, and then low DHEA, which is an adrenal. So this does not surprise me, which kind of makes sense as to why I'm having a little bit more difficulty losing some of the baby weight than I feel like I should be, especially considering what my diet is. So these are all, these are the hormones, and also, interesting fact, with the parathyroid hormone, vitamin D is not very well regulated in the blood because that's a low, and so that would be why I am likely showing up as D deficient here, even though I am supplementing with a D already. So then I'm going to go back to this energetic toxin thing. I didn't have any metals or chemicals that showed up that I'm sensitive to, but I did have some bacteria, mold, and parasites and viruses. What this does is it doesn't tell you specifically, but it'll tell me and I'll give it to you. This is just a caption of an email that I got for me. These are the different molds that I'm sensitive to, parasites, viruses, and bacteria. So this is all stuff that we will be wanting to treat. And then what they do is they take the hair and saliva sample and they test it against a bunch of different homeopathic treatments. So some of you guys have had the muscle testing that I do here in the office to make sure that I'm making the best recommendation for you. And it's the similar concept here, but it's all energetic testing. So I am tested against a lot more here than what I'm able to test with anyone in the office. Otherwise, I would spend a full 12, 13 hours going through a bunch of testing with you guys. So these are the supplements that it recommended that I take, and so I just have to get all these supplements. I'll have them what I don't carry in office, I'm just going to drop ship to my house and then take these, and then I'm going to retest in about 6 weeks or so, 6 weeks from when I start it all. So it may be about 8 weeks by the time I just kind of get everything put together, because I got to get my husband's all ordered too. So just wanted to go through and show you guys how this comes out, and if you are interested in having something like this done, this is bioresonance testing. We do it here in the office. Just reach out, let us know, and we'd be more than happy to get you started.